So I can say from my side, welcome everybody who has joined today for this first time EEA Zoom Cafe. Thanks for sort of giving your lunch break to this new format, an innovative format. It's the first time, as I said, that we do it that way. We plan to do it once a month. And to let you know about the background, we made a very good experience with that kind of free, very personal interaction in the context of our EEA General Assembly 2 weeks ago. And people really responded to us that they liked it to easily connect with people from all over Europe in this e-meeting, in this Zoom cafe. So that's why we said we're going to start it. Let's see where this takes us. So please also feel free to send in your feedback on today's session and your ideas for next sessions. The way we want to do it is we have asked Yemi, Adedej and Steve Clifford today to give us some food for thought in the first 15 minutes, let's put it like that. So that will be something to listen to. And then you can either opt for staying in this main plenary room, or we can push you with a group of nice and lovely people to a separate breakout room for further interaction. So please let us know in the chat box what you want to do. And as this is happening during lunch break, please feel free to actually have your lunch while you're listening now for 15 minutes. So nobody's taking offense if we see you chewing on something. That's very human and very natural to this time of the day. So please feel free to do that, or sip on your coffee or other drinks, as this is our EEA Zoom Cafe. So much from my side. Again, welcome to everybody who has also joined now. And yeah, as I said, we have Yemi and Steve, both from EEA UK, colleagues, friends, and they will share with us today about something that is obviously very virulent in the media at the moment, the whole All Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter debate, the whole discussion around racism. And we want to dive a bit deeper into, first of all, Yemi's personal experience as somebody like us, just sort of an ordinary Christian churchgoer from Europe, and in his case, in the UK. And Yemi will, my question to you would be, what is your really daily experience, or what do you experience as a Black person living in the UK? Attending church, living in society. So in Germany, at least, I can say there's a big discussion around something we call in Germany racial profiling. So who is checked by police? I've never personally been checked by police anywhere in the park or on the streets, asked for my ID, something like that. So maybe you can dive a little bit deeper into that. Before we then come to a second round with you and Steve concerning your journey. So Yemi, it's great to have you with us as a speaker today. Thanks so much for making the time. Over to you.
Can we pray? Is that okay? Is that okay if you
Oh,
pray?
Please. Yes, very good.
Father, we are grateful to you all of the time. We come into this conversation not because we are experts, not because we know it all, but we want to look up unto you so that we may look into ourselves, and then we may look into the world you have created, and we may be really your hands and feet, and we may really see what you see and hear what you are saying, and we may be great brothers to each other, that the world may see and they may believe the unity we all shared. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks for the opportunity of bringing Steve and I on these. Like we said, Steve and I, these are third gathering, seen on Zoom. doing this kind of interview this week. To start with, I think what is important, I just lay out some of the context and background, then we'll go into the meaty stuff later of a life of a typical somebody of a black or minority ethnic in the United Kingdom. There's what we call the micro assault and macro assault. So, but I'll be dealing more of the micro assault. The macro assault, the macro aggression, or macro aggression, will be things that things you physically see that people would do that is right on your face, discriminatory. But it's the micro that people don't see that's matter. And what are those micro stuff? They are like the assault of explicit racial derogation, the verbal, the non-verbal, the name calling, the avoidant behavior, the discriminatory actions that people exhibit towards the people of color. There's also what we call micro insult, which will be the way we communicate or convey ourselves, insensitive or oftentimes to demean or rude or being snobbish or eating insultive message to recipients. And then there's micro invalidation, which comes out of the way we communicate to exclude or to negate, or to create a psychological thought to make other people feel that they are devalued or they don't belong to a particular group. And so if you're a typical person of color, one of those things you will experience will be, for example, you will experience things like whether you don't belong in that particular society. So, for example, you'll be everywhere I go. Up to now, I still corrected somebody yesterday when they asked me, where are you from? I'm like, I'm not an alien. What do you mean, where am I from? Or they ask things also, where were you born? So it's an imagination in the head that because you are black, you don't belong here, right? So granted, I wasn't born in the UK. My wife was born in UK. Every time they ask her, where were you born? I said, I was born in London. They said, no, where are you from? I am from London, England. No, you don't get it. So it's like, I understand what you're saying, but you don't belong here. You're black. You don't, where exactly are you from? So, and these are part of the things that we kind of say, that we kind of telling people, you're really a foreigner. You don't belong here. That's why I'm asking you, where are you from? You know, where did you appear from? So there's also the assumption on the intelligence, you know, for a people of color or race, or if you speak well, you could say things like, you're a credit to your race. You speak very well. What do you expect for me not to be intelligent? Or you are so articulate. Oh, excuse me, I'm supposed to be a dunce. So those are the things that people say subtly, or then some might just say, you know, the people of color or black people are not that so intelligent as white people. And so oftentimes your intelligence is raised according to that. So I have had to challenge that, because they will say, if you're black, you can either do sports or you can either sing. So in some of the conferences or some, like, I mean, Steve have had me, when we gather to put things together, it will be, okay, when it is prayer, Yemi. When it is singing, let's get Yemi then. But when it is talking, you are not allowed to talk. So you then have to challenge it. So it's your presupposition. I'm only good to pray, I'm only good to sing, but I'm not good to talk. So does that mean I am not intelligent enough to be part of the conversation? So oftentimes when we have conferences or committees or something like that, we subconsciously exclude by not bringing those voices in, because we think they might not fit within the frame. What about color blindness? When you look at people and say, I don't see color. I have black friends. So we say we are color blind. So the reason for that really is that you are denying the racial ethnic identity of the person that you are talking to. So you are denying their cultural being. Of course, I'm not like you. Look at this screen. Who is the most different person? It's me, because I have the best color. So, you know, so we see color. It's not about this. So when we deny our individual racial cultural being, then it becomes an issue. What about assumption, like Steve said, on the criminal status? So if a white man, or if I'm a black man walking on the road, and a white man or a black man is coming along the road, it's easy for them to clutch their wallet or purses, because in their head, it's going to rob me. It's going to rob me. It's a black man. So it's subconscious in the head that that's going to happen. So you go to a mall and you're trying to shop. Maybe you are trying to look through things, and you can see the security looking through you, thinking, oh, maybe he's going to steal something. So it's subconscious. Now, I'm telling you the things I've come across, the things that I've personally experienced. So even when people cross the road, I'll have to tell them, hello, I'm not a thief. I'm not going to rob you. Or I'm in the shop and people are like securities. I say, no, I'm not going to rob. If I'm going to rob, I come with a gun and I kill all of you and take everything away. So I kind of get into the presupposed whatever. What about being stopped? I mean, I've been stopped many times by the police. I drive a good car, a very good car, you know, and I have no apology for it. But then you're driving, the police stop you and said, they ask you, why did you stop me? In his head, he's thinking, what do you do? How do you make money? But he can't ask me, but it's going through his head. So he starts saying, can I check your particulars? For what? There are other people driving the same car, but you're not stopping them. But you just profile me because I'm driving a good car. You know, so these are the things that it's basically saying to you, you don't belong here. You are dangerous amongst us. So, and then you meet people where they will say to you that, you know what? I love all black people. I'm not a racist. I have them as my friend. That's not true. So I always challenge this question. What makes you makes you think you are not a racist? It's because I love all black people. I love people who are color, but that doesn't stop that you're not. I'll tell you what makes you are not. I always give the example. If you see a young girl of maybe about 10-year-old being raped by your side, what are you going to do? You will take action. You will challenge it. And you say, not on my watch, I'm going to call the police. This is not right. I'm not even going to fight. Now, if you see someone who is being degraded, who is being devalued, who is being made unequal in the image of God, and you walk away, you don't say anything, he actually makes you that, just like he makes you not attending to somebody that's being raped, he actually makes you to be the same thing, that you have seen what is wrong and you've done nothing. So having black friends doesn't mean anything. But standing for justice, for equality, for that is what makes us to be what we are. And then what about microaggression messages when it comes to job? You know, because it's easy to advertise for job in the places where we think the people will like, people we want, people that are context is the people we want to get. So I was speaking to one head of organization last week who says, I don't have any black people working in our organization. But I said to him, but the people you are reaching out to, the end result of people you are reaching out to are people of color. So why? It's because they never made the intention of advertising to people who will be like that. So because it's not in their mind, you always recruit the people like you if your focus is on the people like yourself. So there's always that disparity, even in job, even in employment, even in recruitment, along all of that. And what about behaviors? I've got this all of the time. So as a black person, you're supposed to be calm and quiet. And then when we're naturally a very verbal, emotional person, and then you only need to, as you can tell, the way I'm talking, gesticulating and stuff like that, I can't change it. It's the way God created me. And then because it doesn't fit some context, you are asked, you are too loud, you are too expressive, you are too emotional. So what do you want me to do to be like you? So what about if you are in my world, should I say you are too quiet? You are not saying anything. So these are the things that we say to dominate a particular culture and context. So basically what I'm saying, what you are saying to me, leave your identity on the door. When you come inside here, take my identity and then be what I want you to be. And so these are the kind of the things and things that almost want to make you like a second-class citizen in the way you engage, in the way you do stuff, in the matter of status, in the matter of what you do, stuff like that. And it's also in our education system. It's education.
Yemi, I'm going to interrupt you. Can I interrupt you?
Interrupt me. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I? Okay. So, because I thought it'd be, I think it's really important that we hear what Yemi has to share. And actually, it's quite uncomfortable for us white leaders to hear some of that. And certainly for myself, I cringe inside because I realize in the past I have said things like that. I have responded in that kind of way. But it's really important that we hear these are the experiences of people who perhaps are in our churches, or if they're not in our churches, they're in the church down the road, but don't feel at home in our churches, or indeed our organisations. But I thought, Yemi, what it would be good for us is now to talk a bit about our journey together within the Evangelical Alliance. And Yemi and I are going to have a little bit of a conversation for about 5 minutes about that, and then we can open it all up.
Yeah.
I think that for us, just really briefly, that first of all, the conviction that God 10 years ago spoke to us. I know the date, I know the location. It was in September 2010, and God spoke to us through actually to an African and a Caribbean pastor and leaders, and they challenged us, if we're serious about unity, it had to be a unity that crossed all ethnic expressions. And that really took us on a journey, and it was a journey of building relationships to start with. Look, the title of the book almost was Silver Bullet. Yemi and I get loads of people coming to us, and what they're asking often is, what's the silver bullet that we could fire to have lots of black people or ethnic minority people in our organizations or in our churches? And our answer is invariably, there is no silver bullet. Actually, it's a long process. It's a process of relationship building, trust building. For us white people, it's a process of listening and of learning. It's a process of having our worldview challenged. I spent pretty much a year just visiting leaders and pastors of the ethnic minority churches and organizations across the UK, listening, learning, building some key relationships. And I have to say, Yemi, or Pastor Yemi, as I will call him Pastor Yemi when I'm in public with him, was an absolutely key relationship that God gave us as an organization, gave me as a leader in that organization. Because I knew when God spoke to us, I couldn't delegate this. It had to be something that I led in. If it was serious about building bridges with the ethnic minority church in the UK, who actually are, among evangelicals, is 20 to 25% of evangelicals are from black or ethnic minority churches. So this was a key constituency. I knew that I had to build relationships, and Pastor Yemi was a key part of that. Yemi, just give us your reflections on that relationship building thing.
I think if we are thinking of changing, even as evangelical European Evangelical Alliance or whichever country we are, if you really want to engage with this, it's the journey is that the credit itself will go to Steve as a leader. It's a leadership initiative project. He thought within himself, there is no way I can lead this one on without relationship, an intentional strategy of bringing people around so that we can navigate the future together. And that was when our journey started. We started from ground zero. We begin to then knock on the door of key leaders that are of black or ethnic minority to ask them, come on a journey with us. And it is that relationship that we develop, authentic relationship, we started organically before we become organized, because we wanted to know each other, we wanted to develop to know each other. And it was a lot of sacrifice that Steve gave along that journey. Attending churches, meeting with pastors, being in an environment that is very uncomfortable for him, which I feel sorry for him at times. Attending long prayer meetings. I'm thinking, how do you survive? You know, attending long worship. That I'm thinking, Steve, I'm even tired as a black man. You know, and then, you know, we finish. I asked him, Steve, how did that go? I'll be feeling sorry. My God, that was good. I'm saying, Steve, come on, you can't turn black, stay white. You know. So those are the experiences that we went on, and then we brought on different leaders across different countries, different continents, Asia, America, part of Europe, or South America. We brought all Africa, Afro-Caribbean, brought them around the table. We begin to think through what will this look like, and that was when One People Commission emerged. And then what is the mission of One People Commission? It's actually to influence the way we do things in the Evangelical Alliance, that take cognizance of people of black and minority ethnic who form almost 25% of the people in which we are leading. Isn't that true, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. And as we began to kind of go on this journey and building and relationships with key people, and bringing some of those key people together, I realized there was a particular question that I had to ask. And I kept asking it. And the question was, how do we need to change? How do we as an organization, but also how do we as individuals need to change in order to reflect and rightly reflect the diversity of the church here in the UK? And that's what, and I think it's worth saying that we're not looking for uniformity. We're looking for unity in the midst of diversity. We're not looking to all become the same. So we get this kind of mellage in the middle somehow. No, we celebrate and we recognize our differences, but we had to change. And there's many of the structural changes that took place in the Evangelical Alliance over the last 10 years. The way that we communicated about ourselves, the structures, the leadership, the board, the council, our communications mechanisms came out of asking that question and encouraging Black and ethnic minority leaders to speak into that and to influence us, and for us to be willing to recognize our own prejudice within ourselves and our own blind spots and the worldview that was influencing the way that we'd practiced in the past. I think we ought to stop at that point, Matthias, because we've gone on for 17 minutes. So let me hand it back to you.
It's all good. Thanks so much, Steve and Yemi. Indeed, we could go on listening to you, I think, for a couple of hours, because this is very inspiring and very much needed. I think both your personal report, Yemi, and then also the ideas you bring to us as you are sharing your journey. I would actually, as we're still experimenting with this new format, EEA Zoom Café. Initially, we thought we're going to push everybody to breakout rooms now, but we communicated a little bit and felt it's not a good idea. We are sort of only 21 people now, so this is still a manageable group to have a first round of interaction with everybody. And I would actually like to ask Steve's question. How do we need to change to embrace diversity? I would like to put that question to the whole group, well knowing that diversity in your context from a different part of Europe can be something very different. We've now heard a lot about white and black in the UK. Certainly that's a big topic there. In other contexts in Europe, this could be sort of natives from that country and Roma people or refugees who came to specific areas in Europe and who are an ethnic minority there. So how do we need to change in order to embrace diversity? I would like to make the experiment to put that question to the whole group without knowing now who will take it up first, but please be very proactive now.
Hello, can I share my experience?
Yes, Antonio, thanks so much.
Okay. In Portugal, in the old time, we tried always to have missionaries, like from the United States or England in the board. In the moment, we have two pastors from Brazil in the board, because really almost an half of the Christian evangelicals are from Brazil. So we have two pastors in our board. And our former president was a man who was born in Angola. So this is something that we think that helps the people to see that we are not what we could call white Portuguese only, but you are a mixer, because really our evangelical background is really is good to have these so nice and so good people among us. We are with them.
Thank you, Antonio. Further reflections and thoughts?
maybe I can say something. I totally agree with what Steve was emphasizing, that relationship building is key to everything. And that's, of course, already a problem, because many times we are so in separate circles and bubbles. And to break through that is really already an issue. In the Netherlands, for example, we have a separate umbrella organization for churches with a migration background. That doesn't help to interact, because then immediately when you say, okay, we as EEA want to have relationships with these churches, then immediately that umbrella organization is saying you are stepping into our situation. So that is one thing that really hampered a little bit. But again, it was all about building relationships with people, going to them. So that's the first thing. And because we are not used to that, and we do see church as something for ourselves and not for other people. And I think that is already something that needs to change in our churches. We have to think, what does our message mean for the people that are coming in? When somebody, it's even social layers in our societies that are totally excluded by the language that we are using. And I think that is where we have to change. We have to be much more focused on building relationships with the people that are around us, and see what kind of language should we use. And I think that is part of relationship building. Of course, language is very important in that. But maybe I can ask Yemi. Yemi, when you think of, how can you help us to change? It's not just a matter of us. We want to change. I think a lot of people, when you go to them and say, we want to open up our churches for other cultures. We have a lot of Iranians, we have a lot of Afghani people. We ourselves have 2 Afghani refugees, foster sons, and we feel how these boys are actually not at home in our own church. But what would you say? How would you be able to equip churches to change around? And I'm a pastor in that same church, so I should be able to change it, but I don't know how to do it, because it's so overwhelmingly Dutch.
That's a very good question, and I think I don't know whether I should go back to this my narrative of dancing. Let me try it. Maybe that will work. I've used that metaphor many times. I think the change itself has to come from the leadership. Until the leadership demonstrate it and lead it, it will be difficult for other people to see the importance, the value of that change is. What Steve did in EA was he put himself out. As a matter of fact, he put himself at a risk. He put himself at the risk of the people around him who have enjoyed, who have embraced, who have loved the way things have been. But he intentionally said to himself, no, things can't continue to be like this. We must reach out to other people. And then he stepped out of his comfort zone, of its convenient position, to go out, to go and look. It's just like you've lost one of your sheep. You go and you leave the 99, you go after the one. And you go on and search until you find the one and bring the one back home. And I think that is very, very important. And then one of the things we must avoid ourselves, because it's not impossible that you have people of other diversity or ethnicity in your church. Probably they do come, but they come, they don't stay, and they go. Then you ask yourself the question, why did they go? It's possible that they don't find home in your church when they come. Why is it that they don't find home in your church? It could be that they welcome the hospitality, or they are best just to be just ordinary. So you have to go beyond yourself when you see such people like that, to intentionally, deliberately go after them, welcome them, talk to them, engage with them. What's their circumstance? How can they be involved in the church? What can they do? So when they see such level of warmth, and then they are now thinking that's great. So it's easier for them to multiply or to duplicate themselves by going out to tell others, you know what, I went to that church, you won't believe that the pastor welcomed me to his home. The pastor came to visit me. I was the only black person, or I was the only Iranian in the church, but the extent of how it went. Now, people may hear what you are saying, but they will not change. What makes people change? When they see. It's not what we say, it's what people see. So when people see us demonstrating and leading in the change, you don't need to say this is what we are. If you like, you can put all the words there. We're diversified, inclusive, integrated organization or church. It means nothing because it's just a word. But the question is, are we living it? So who is living it? How is it being demonstrated? Are there examples? So it's an intentional, deliberate action and step out to be able to do this. And that's what makes the change.
No, I totally agree with that.
Yemi, give us the dance metaphor, because I think it's really helpful.
Okay. I use this dance metaphor that we use the word diversity, inclusion, and integration loosely. And people use it in documents and whatever. They don't even know what it means. People just use it. It fits it. It's a sound word. But let me unpack those three words for you, like in a party or a dance thing. What is diversity? Diversity means I invite people of color into my party, but I'm not asking them to dance. So you go out and invite people of color when you see them on the road, on the street or whatever, say, come to my church. But when you come, just sit down. Don't talk. Don't sing what we sing. Don't do anything. Don't get involved in anything. I just want to see your color in the congregation. That's all I need. So you take the statistics. If they eventually stay, if they ask you, do you have people of color in your organization or in your church? You say, yes, I've got 3. But they are invited to the party, but they are not asked to dance. They are asked to stay still where they are. Then you have the second level called inclusion. The inclusion is, I invite you to the party, but then I ask you to dance. But I'm not telling you ahead of time what music you're going to dance to, what step you're going to take, who you're going to dance with, what will it look like when you dance, how long is the dance. So I ask you to come and dance, but I'm setting you up to fail. So in some instances, whether from an organization or from a church perspective, so you see people of color that comes, you say, okay, come and join us in doing this thing. So the person is saying, but I don't know. Nobody told me. I don't have a clue. So you get upset. So all the racial biases and prejudices start coming up. You start saying things like, you are not effective. You are aggressive. You are this. But you didn't tell me what the dance is. You never showed me. You just asked me to come. So you are just setting me up to fail. And that is really major in most organizations and churches. But then the last level is called integration. Integration is the ultimate. Why is integration the ultimate? Because you do not start planning the party without me. So from the onset, you come to me and say, you know what, we are going to plan a party. This is the food we're going to have. This is the music we're going to have. This is who is going to dance. This is the person who's going to do this. And we're going to plan it. Let's think through it together from ground zero. And that's exactly what Steve and I did. We went from ground zero. Okay, Yemi, we want to do one people commission. Who do we invite? Who comes on the table? How do we do the meeting? Who do we get to do this? Who do we bring into the loop? Okay, I'm going to go into this meeting. Let's go together. Let's 2 of us stand there together. They see what we're doing. So that is integration. It is not inviting me to say, Yemi, just come on the board of EA. But we don't care whether you say anything or not. But your face fits, just sit down there. Or you give me a role, but I don't know what I'm doing. And then I start to fail. But we start from ground zero. We are doing it together. We are creating a tapestry. And that is the tough one for most people, because most people are secure in their place, a place of power, a place of influence, a place of authority, and you will not want to displace yourself by asking somebody to join you. That is where our insecurity and our white superiority come into place, and that is actually the place God is challenging us to look at.
Yemi, wow, this is very rich and gives us a lot of food for thought. I feel we could go on for a long time now discussing and sharing thoughts about that. But we promised you that this will be over after an hour. If people have planned for it, and we want to give you some interaction time because this is also the idea of this. So I have talked with my team, and we will do something very impolite now. We're just gonna push you into breakout sessions that are by chance, including you, Steve and Yemi. I think we make a break here in the main room, and we're gonna push you into breakout rooms to give you time either to, in smaller groups, go on with that discussion, or also to just ask questions if you haven't met so far, or if there's something you wanna, something different you wanna discuss. So that's gonna take the rest of the time now. We will make sure.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
Before we go.
In a minute.
Can I mention?
In a minute, Steve. I just wanna finish that thing. We will make sure that we end the whole meeting a minute before the hour, so you have time then to jump on to the next meeting. And before we come to you, Steve, I just wanted to advertise that there will be a webinar of the European Platform Against Religious Intolerance and Discrimination on the topic European Union Day on Freedom of Religion and Belief, featuring Ari. This will take place directly after this. We're gonna post the link into the chat box. So if you wanna join that webinar, please make sure to capture the link before you leave. And at this stage, I would say thank you to you, Steve and Yemi. And Steve, you had something to say.
Yes, I just wanted to do a kind of little plug on a book that Yemi and I wrote. And I read it, or most of it again, yesterday. And I just realized we wrote this, and it was published at the end of last year. And I just realized just how relevant that this is at this moment of time, that all that's happening in the light of George Floyd's murder and Black Lives Matter. And it's called Impossible Dream. And really, it's designed for leadership teams to work through together. And my suggestion is take a chapter a month. There are questions at the end of each chapter. And it's just an opportunity to explore this issue. If we sense that God is speaking to us about this, that's a great resource for that process. You can download it from the UK EEA site for 99p, or you can get the hard copy for £10 plus postage.
Thank you so much, Steve. This is, I think, very important if we want to follow up on today's discussion, which only has been hopefully an eye-opener or door opener to a much larger room. So to end this time together, I want to re-emphasize, let's plan the party together, and let's also have the party together, to take up Yemi's thought at the end of his talk. And now I think, Elizabeth, it will take a few, or maybe 1 minute until we have pushed you to the interaction rooms. Make sure to use that time to meet people now. I think slowly but surely you will be pushed out of this room now. Is that what's happening, Elizabeth? Is that correct?
The breakout sessions are prepared already, so you'll be going right away. Right away.
Okay, so I say thank you to everybody. We won't meet again in the plenary. We will just end the meeting at 2 o'clock CET or 1 p.m. UK time, and have a great rest of the day. It was great that you've joined today. Bye-bye, everybody. Blessings to you.
Bye.
Bless you.